All right, y'all, we are back for another episode of the LaRae Infinity Let's Talk podcast, season 4, The Dynamics of Women. And as y'all know, this is the final season of this particular podcast because women's stories are beyond being told and being told unapologetically. And I want to make sure that we keep capturing these and repurposing the episodes that are already out there. As you know, we are in downtown Houston in the historic Esperson building. And I know that I'm going to do a special episode just around the Esperson. A lot of people don't know it's Esperson Buildings with an S because it's 2 buildings collided into one. And shout out to our wine sponsor, our beverage sponsor, Share Me Wine. Today, we are drinking the Chardonnay, and I'm super excited about that. So let's go ahead and dive into the episode. I am super excited about this guest. You just don't know. I'm going to have her introduce herself, and we'll get started.
Hey, guys. I'm Amanda Sapp. I will never tell you my age. My zodiac sign is Scorpio, and today I am excited about being on this podcast, and you are listening to LaRae Infinity Let's Talk Podcast Season 4.
The dynamics of women. All right, so I have to tell everybody how I met you and why I appreciate you. So I met you through a Google document that was sent to me by another friend in media, Khalil Rashid, and he was like, fill this out, you need to be on her show. And I was like, okay. So I filled it out and I come to the Bread of Life and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, this is serious. Like, I see 4 people in there and I see her on the air. Okay. And it's funny because being in media and having the same thing, it's like, okay, this is what people experience. Yeah. And you kind of, and I'm not sure I was nervous, but I was just like, okay, okay.
You probably were greeted at the door.
Yeah, greeted at the door, coffee, the whole thing. It was fire. And when I walked in and met you, I instantly felt like I knew you for a while. Like, I feel like we were homies in another lifetime.
For sure.
And probably fucked up some shit. Like, I feel like we were like set it off friends. Like, we did some stuff.
We were probably best buds in a former life.
Yes, for sure. So I appreciate you highlighting me on your platforms because it's been really cool. And I've actually had people reach out and be like, yo, I heard you.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, on the show. And it was such a great interview. And I learned some things from you because I think how dare you go into somebody that's in your industry and not learn stuff as you go. And you had you got the paper, you had the thing. I was like, how'd she know that? How'd she know that? And because you looked, it's all out there. So
research.
Yeah, I appreciate your calming energy. I appreciate our conversation and I appreciate the light that you're bringing to spaces. Like, you're a magical person. You already know that. But I think that it's important that we tell each other those kind of things.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah,
Thank
absolutely.
you very much.
Yes. So let's play a game.
Sure.
Word association game is super simple. I'm going to say a word. You're going to say a word or phrase that comes to mind.
Let's talk. Let's talk.
Hey, y'all. I just want to give you the heads up. There is definitely cursing, adult content, and there will be triggers in this episode as we look at and celebrate the journeys and the walks of women. All right, so let's talk for real, because when I think about this podcast and what we're doing, and even like I was telling you before, when you think about the word unapologetic, I do feel like it gets overused a lot. And people are like, I'm unapologetic. But this podcast, the purpose of it is women, us, being able to tell our unapologetic story. And then I added in our own time and own words. Because as you ebb and flow through life, sometimes you're not ready, or sometimes there's no purpose in telling it yet. And so I always say that in your own time, right? That piece of the journey that you're ready to share, the piece of the journey that now you celebrate.
Sure.
Because often when we're thinking about it and focusing on women from all walks of life and how we grow and how we navigate and how we're impacting the world we live in, that's where telling that untold story comes into play. And, I believe that the rise of women is of loss and of triumph and of fabulous failure. And we have to celebrate that versus using it as badges of shame as much versus these badges of like, I did that shit and the growth. So I'm excited to see where your journey is right now and where you started. So tell me a little bit about who you are, where you're from, your family dynamics growing up.
Sure. So I'm one of five, and I was raised in Iowa, Louisiana, which is like 15 minutes from Lake Charles,
Okay.
Louisiana. It's a Cameron exit if you're going towards Lafayette, Louisiana.
Okay.
Small town of about 3,000 people. I went to a predominantly white school, and I would consider myself not necessarily an overachiever, but definitely loved, winning.
Yeah.
I love.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I was class president for 3 years in high school, student of the year in elementary and high school, and I just did all the things. I love competition, whatever that is, whether I'm winning or losing. I love to be involved. I like creating. I like people, community, groups. I love collective concept, ideas, things that make you have to come together and create something great. I've always been that way. And one thing people don't know about me is I have a twin. She is in Louisiana, and she just had my nephew. I think he's about 6 months old. I love him so much. He's so cute. And I love what I do. Do I share now where I am in my career,
No,
or what
I
is
think we'll get there,
okay?
right? Because you said
Sure.
you're one of five. Where
One
do
of five.
Where do you lay?
My
in your
sister and I are the last of the five.
Are you the youngest of the two of y'all?
We are, and I have 3 older brothers.
Okay.
And
Oh,
I was raised in a Pentecostal household. It's very strict, close knit family. It was a family church. My grandfather built or had the church. He had 2, one in Westlake, Louisiana, one in Orange, Texas. And when he died, he gave the church to my mom, who became the pastor of the church.
So you're a PK.
So I am a PK.
Ooh,
to my
okay.
spirit, to the tip of my toe.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. So out of you and your sister, who came out first?
I did.
So you're okay. You're like, I did.
Yeah. We were in the. So I think as I think about life today and where I am and where I'm going, I think like I was meant for greatness. I know people say that.
No, I get you.
I'm not, without a shadow of a doubt, in my spirit, in my being, I know that I was meant to be great. I'm meant to do more. I'm meant to serve. My sister and I, we were in the newspaper because we almost died. We were like born at 2 pounds or something like that. And first twins at this hospital, 2 pounds each. First twins at the hospital where we were born. And there's this big, large newspaper with my mom in the middle and my sister and I, her holding us. And so, like I said, I had spinal meningitis, and I can't remember what my sister had. But so I was sickly as a child and all that kind of thing. And so anyway, so as I think about like where I'm going, what I'm doing, what I've accomplished, what I have kept pushing regardless, in spite of, and I think about that photo and her story and the journey and all of that, it's like I'm supposed to go through adversity.
Yeah.
And I'm supposed to thrive and learn from it. Anyway, so that happened at birth. Now I got my brothers and sisters. We're doing our thing. Everybody's living, their life. My nieces and nephews are graduating, and, so yeah, I don't know where I went with that story.
No,
but
I'm going there with you. So was it your mom and your dad?
Yes, my parents.
Yeah,
my dad,
parents?
He is the first love of my life. And he is an amazing man. My dad is a provider. He's a veteran. And I can remember my dad being at everything that I had to have that required a parent.
Yeah.
He was always there.
Yeah.
I love my dad.
Yeah. And I mean, it's
I don't know if
great...
I feel like I'm getting emotional now thinking about it, but he is just an amazing person.
I love my dad.
And I am so grateful for him because he showed me what a man is supposed to do, how they should do it. And he's just always been there. So I've had good ground for me.
Yeah.
And it's just a little bit about me.
Yeah. When you talk about love of dads and
Sure.
And you say the thing that they show you, I remember growing up and really you don't know that it's extraordinary
Yeah.
until it's either not there or you see other people's lack
Yeah,
of.
definitely. Yeah, for sure.
Right. So it was in college, right?
Yeah.
I go away to college and my mom and dad raised me. My mom was retired military. So my dad was my primary care
My
provider.
dad was a veteran as well.
Yeah, yeah. And my dad was the primary. My mom was in the Air Force. And so I got this male version of, we called him dad mom, right?
Yeah,
So he did
yeah.
all that stuff. But I just remember he was so masculine and A-type.
Sure.
But there was some very feminine qualities that he leaned into, like his nails stayed clean and he didn't mind going to get a mani and pedi with my mother when he was older.
Mhm.
And he raised, I always say he effectively raised 3 feminists.
Yeah.
Right. And so it was this nuance of, now I know that it's fine to have this whole alpha male that has very comfortable in his femininity as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So
for
it's just so cool to have those connections
Yeah.
and everything. So you're essentially the baby to 3 brothers.
For sure.
Oh, how? So I always wished for brothers. So
Yeah.
when my sister and my brother-in-law, prior to her passing, were together for 20 years. So I met who is now my big brother when I was 17.
Yeah.
And it was the best thing ever, having a big brother, because I
Yeah.
imagine you mess with me, my big brother's coming. So how was it actually having
Super
big brothers?
protective, while there's this confinement that happens with being in a religious household, then you got brothers on top of that who they don't know why they're sheltering the way they are. They do, but then it's even more, and so my brothers went to the same school my whole life. So for them, when they graduated or when they went to the next school from, elementary to middle to high school,
Mm-hmm.
people, when we would come up, people would say, "Oh, you're Ricky and Nathan's sister or Chris' sister." And I'd be like, "Yeah, that's us." So they left a good representation. We were all good kids in school. My
Mhm.
mom was very sure to make sure that we, like PK families did in the past, you don't act crazy when you go out in public. So, it was always, they led well. So
Yeah.
when we came up, it was easy for us to, be good students and maintain a good name and,
Mhm.
which is important to me. So, yeah.
Mhm. So health in high school, right? So
Yeah.
when did your health start improving to where you weren't like the sickly child, right?
So I'm deaf in my right ear. So
Okay.
having spinal meningitis took away my hearing. I don't think they really at the time knew how you could fix this or if it was something that could be fixed.
Mhm.
And so I would have ear infections all the time.
Mm.
And so when I was about 10 or 12, they decided to have surgery on my ear. And so they shaved this part of my right side of my head.
Mhm.
And I don't mean to be graphic.
Oh, be as graphic as you're comfortable being.
They shaved this side of my head and kind of took my eardrum out.
They pulled back your skin and
Pulled
everything?
back my skin
Okay.
and took the eardrum out.
Wow.
And so there you go. No more ear infections.
Interesting.
I would still have a few issues here and there, but there is no hearing coming out of that happens in my right ear.
Mhm.
So, but so that was that really. By the time I got it, and then I was also bow-legged, and so I had to wear braces until I got to kindergarten. When I got to kindergarten, I remember the day they took the little, whatever you call those,
strapped to here.
what is it called? Who was it? What is the name?
Forrest
Yeah,
Gump? Yeah.
I had those on.
Okay.
I had the little Forrest Gump little.
Did your sister have the same
No,
thing?
just me. Her legs were straight as a board. I'm the one with looking all, wobbling everywhere.
Okay.
So I had those. So they took that off. I remember in the, little toy box, we put those in there and I could, walk without them. So really just going into high school, I was fine. I still couldn't hear. I still having ear infections in 10 or 12. They took my eardrum out. So, I never expressed any of those things going into school.
Mm-hmm.
No one knew I couldn't hear.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have my braces, so you didn't know I had issues walking. So, health in high school, I did not make it a point to be different from anybody
right.
in school.
Did you feel like, looking back, you were trying to blend in, or you were just like, this is a non-factor for
Sure.
me.
It wasn't about blending in.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to be treated differently.
Mm-hmm.
I would never blend in. I just didn't want you to create
My journey for me.
who I am,
Mm-hmm.
what I can do. I don't want anyone, even today I'm like this, I don't want anyone to create what they think an opportunity is or should be for me based on what they see.
Look,
So
I agree with that. And I'm glad that you say that, because I talk about it on just this. I feel like it's a very simple, shallow level. Like sometimes I am reluctant to post things that I'm doing, right? Or tell people everything I'm doing, because I don't need you to decide what I'm too busy to do
sure.
and what my capacity is.
Sure.
So I very much resonate with that. Don't make my decisions for me just because of what you see.
Now, I'll say this too, as I'm maturing. There's two sides to this.
Yeah.
Because while I might not want you to know I can't hear, my ass should have been in the front of the seat of the class so I could hear.
Yeah, that part. Yeah.
You know, you
the ebb and flow to it all.
you get away from the benefits that are available to you because ego can get in the way.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't believe that was ego for me. It was just truly, I just want to do as best as I possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
However, as an adult, you realize people need to know this so they can help you.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
you know,
to an
it's kinda
extent,
how you
it's
want to deal
definitely
with
like
it.
a two-sided thing. Because sometimes I'm like, okay, yeah, like my circle, I'm like, okay, I can't do anymore. We need to shut this down, or don't send anybody else to me. You know, the verbalization of it is, I like to say, fine wine as I mature in those kind of ways.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. So after high school, you know, you're doing your high school thing,
Sure.
taking over the world in
Yeah.
a predominantly white world already, right? Were you met with some adversity with that, being
Never.
Black kids at the high
Never.
school?
I wish, because I hear these stories. I
Right.
understand racism and all of these things. And I'm sure it was there in its way. I'm not saying that it wasn't. However, I do not, envy is not the word I want to use, but sometimes people have these stories about, you know, their schools and, you know, their camaraderie. There is a sense of camaraderie that happens when you're with people who are like you.
Yeah.
And I didn't get a lot of that because I didn't even know that was a thing. You
It was an
know, when you
option,
don't know
right.
what you don't know.
Right.
So, I didn't really notice that there was an issue till I did get in the big world. And I say issue. I didn't know that there are groups, there's representation, there's people who look like you who want to do what you do or thrive the way you do or whatever. And honestly, I didn't really even get to that until I got in the world of media. Because even in my adult life, I'm not thinking about representation. I'm thinking about how am I going to live and eat and, you know, be.
Yeah, the basic things.
Tomorrow.
Right.
It wasn't about I need this group of X so I can become Z.
Right.
You know, I've never had to think that way until I got in media.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah. For me, it was like little trickles. Being in the military, my mom, she was an officer, Black female officer, and her enlisted people and not being able to play with them because they were like, well, because your mom's the boss. And then our parents having to kind of explain things to us, or being in the locker room with people that weren't Black and being like, your nipples don't look like my nipples. That's weird.
Okay.
Or, you know, small things like that, right? As you realize that people are like different. So after high school, where do you go next?
So I get married. I get married right out of high school. And, I have a whole life in that way. And then we divorced 13 years later. And it wasn't until my divorce that I really thrived in who I wanted to become as an adult. And as I became an adult through that divorce, I became homeless. And I think one of the things that people don't realize about homelessness is that it can look like anything. It's not a one particular way. It's not some crazy person running in the street, you know. It's not someone who is, you know, doesn't have socks on. It could literally look like anything.
Yeah.
And for me, it looked like me going to several events in a day because I wanted to do this. I wanted to be in entertainment. I wanted to do it well. It was me living in my studio, not being able to pay that rent, very small rent. And then it was me living in my car and still going to these events because I really wanted to do this. And I did it well. I didn't even know, how do you even get paid to do this? How do you get paid to be in entertainment? How do you get paid to do these interviews? I just wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And then, then I figured it out or whatever. And then I got to a place to where I had to really seriously focus and determine what was best for me.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Marriage at what? 18,
was married
17?
at 18 years old.
18 years old.
Sure. I believe people do find love at that age.
Yeah.
I believe that people can get married at that age. I believe I was not ready to get married at that age. I believe I was trying to get out of the house. As a PK, you may understand that in a religious household, for sure, once you find that there is another world outside of your own,
you're like,
I want to go there. Who are they doing? Who's that? What do they do? They don't go to church every Sunday? What? I want to go over there.
Yeah.
Whatever there is.
Right.
And so I think one of the things my mom always says that she wishes that we would have lived on the campus where we were going to college, And I don't know. I feel like even for her, I understand as a mom, you want to protect your child no matter what. And I think for her, she couldn't have made it any way, whether she wanted us to live on campus or not. Mm-hmm. A person is going to do what a person wants to do.
And you say
regardless.
Us, you and your
Me
sister?
And my sister.
Okay.
Because what happened was, girl, we got ready, saved all our money, all the things, saved all our money. We just said we're going to live on campus at the college.
What college?
It's McNeese State University. And my mom and her sister, my aunt, and Brian, if you get a chance to watch this, I'm talking about you. They come in there with their long dresses to the ground and tennis shoes on. My twins, they not living on here. We need their money right now. We didn't give them permission. And they came and got our money.
Oh.
Told the people they didn't give us permission. And the people gave them our money. And either way, even though they did that, we were still going to do what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
But that showed me too, people say, well, I see where you get your moxie from. And it is from her. My mom is one who showed me, no matter what, if she decides to do something, she's going to do it and figure it out along the way. Mm-hmm. So I do get that from her. But she'll say, I wish I wouldn't let y'all live on campus. But regardless, I was still going to do what I want to do. So I would say to any parent who's raising a child who might have been graduating, because I'm learning this too, you have to let them make their own mistakes, in their own way.
And I'm imagining that's scary. Are you a mother?
I am.
Okay. In the 13-year marriage, that a child or two?
I am a mother.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I love that.
Yeah, I do too. And I have wonderful children.
Okay.
Yeah. Very good kids.
So after 13 years, because I imagine when we're talking about cognitiveness,
sure.
right? You are 18, you get married, and then 13 years later, it's a whole nother beast.
That's a person. That's a different person.
Yeah.
And then after you get a divorce, no one tells you what it's like, that you should go to, a therapist, that you should talk to just anybody else outside of your family about this thing that you're evolving into somebody else. Because you do. You're one person with the person that you built a life with in whatever it was. And then now you're by yourself. What do you do with that? Who are you in that? And I think a lot of times we don't think about who we are just in general, whether you're in a relationship, coming out of one,
we don't sit with
deciding
enough
to get into another. I don't think we take enough time thinking about who we are, not even having children, just who you are as an individual. And
who were you in the marriage? And then right when you got done with the marriage, who was that Amanda?
Sure. Who I was in the marriage was someone who was going to make it work no matter what. Very focused on my family. And who I was after the marriage was focused on myself,
Mhm.
very becoming. I'm not selfish yet, but I'm about to be.
Good. It's a
So
cool place to be.
after my marriage, it was more like just trying to figure it out. No one gets married to get divorced. No one.
No one.
But I think when you have a chance to, let yourself grieve, because that's a grief, going through not being with the person that you're with to now, okay, that is gone. Now what is? So just giving myself the grace to know that I did what I needed to do as that person.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm giving myself grace to become who I want to be moving forward.
Out of all of these things, because you talk about a lot of ebb and flow, even from your positioning and your mindset on things is very, I don't know the word. It's this great outlook. You're like, well, that's what it was, and this is what I wanted to lay out. You seem like you have this very determined matter of factness about you, right?
For sure.
When you're thinking about all those things, just up into the Amanda that's divorced, what was the thing that impacted you the most?
I've never been the Amanda that's divorced. I've
Love
always
that.
been Amanda Sapp.
Yeah.
What I became was the Amanda Sapp.
Love that.
And one reason why I became that was I remember having a conversation with one of my girlfriends, and we were like, I'm going to change my Instagram name or whatever. And I was typing up the names, and she said, I said, well, what about this one and that one? She said, well, you need all of them because there's different variations of you.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to buy them all or get them all. Or
Yeah,
get
I've had
it
my
is.
girlfriend tell me that too.
Yes,
I'm like,
because and that made me think about life. There are multiple variations of you. So, and so as I think about who I am today, your question,
yeah, who you were
yeah,
when you were married, and then who you are now.
yeah. So the Amanda Sapp is who I am today, and I think that is like my alter ego.
Okay.
For like when I'm stepping into, whatever it is. I always get nervous before I do interviews, whether it's before I am speaking to one of my children or even when it is going into a meeting. I become that person. That's the confident person. That's the I know my shit. That is, I'm about to close this deal. That is that person. So I love her a lot. But this Amanda Sapp, this person is who I am when I don't have to think about anything else. This is me, my most calm, my inviting space for myself. Not inviting for others,
Yeah, just
but
for
inviting
you.
for me.
You're shy.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, because I think
Yeah.
I remember when I met you, I was like, you're shy.
Yeah.
Because we
for
were
sure.
talking about something. And for me, that's like that heart-wrenching thing. I'm like, I love the vulnerability that is you when we say, like, I don't know, we've had a lot of eye-gazing moments. And it's, it's one of those things where I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Because I don't think a lot of people, when you think about media, because I talk about it all the time, I'm like, I'm an introvert, extrovert.
Yeah.
And so I do have shy moments. I think they're shedding and they look different now. But like I could, after I get done doing all this stuff, I have to go inward a lot.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to say?
Nothing.
Okay. I got that. Okay. So how do you define femininity, your femininity, right? Because even media still is somewhat male dominated, even though I do see a lot of women, even yourself, out there doing the thing. As a mother, sometimes the femininity ebbs and flows. It looks different. As a wife, as a daughter, all those things. So how do you define who you are and your femininity? What does it look like for you?
Looks like what it does right now to me.
It.
I have my kids with me sometimes too. I don't really talk a lot about my kids because I understand in media too how things can get misplaced.
Yeah.
And that's not a space that I want any of my children to be in, not especially them unwilling.
Yeah.
Now, if they want to do things or whatever, then that's completely up to them. However, I do protect the best way I can. When it comes to them. So my femininity is sheltering them. And what I'm building with where I am as the leader that I am with the organization that I work with.
I love that.
Yeah.
What's your leadership style?
Give me an example of.
Tell me how you lead. Do you I think for me, people define me as like I turn into like the auntie mode or very mothering. I am not a mother, but I do feel like I'm a mother, right? I'm a mother earth, like very much in several lifetimes. I've had many kids and have taken care of many people. And so even with my team, I'm like, are you good?
Yeah.
Like, what do you need? You
I do
water?
a lot of show and tell.
Yeah.
I was used to just do it. Figure it out and just do it. I've been a team of one, which is me alone, and I've been a team of building. And so what that means is how I lead is I will show you how to do this probably multiple times, and then I will ask you to do it with me, and then I'll ask you to do it on your own. So I'm very hands-on, very communicative, and I do my best to kind of like document. So I don't know how you would explain that, but I'm very show and tell.
Okay. Well, I mean, you just explained it, show and tell, and a level of patience. Because I mean, I've watched you work with your team, and I mean, it's been limited, but I do sense patience in you versus like this sense of urgency. You know what I mean? You're like,
there have been days that I've had sense of urgency. However, I had to walk away so I can gather my thoughts and myself before I react. So yeah.
I love that. So what's something that you feel like, because we shy away from the word failure, right? I think some people do, society does, but I talk about fabulous failure. I said it in the intro, and I love talking about this because I say, hell, I fail every day. I just had a conversation this morning. A friend texted me. She's like, I don't want to dump on you. I need to run something by you. Do you have a second? And I pick up the phone with her, and she's like, do you have imposter syndrome? I'm like, you can call it 10 different things. But I go, hell yeah, every day. Last night, I walk into a judge's house and there's all these people here and stuff. And I was like, well, fuck. And then I'm like, fuck it. Like, you belong wherever you are in the moment. But what is something that you feel like you have fabulously failed at?
That is a great question. And I will have to come back to you on an answer.
I love it. And when you want to come back to it, just cut it. We just chop it up because we're like, oh, okay, this is it. And for me, I think the thing that I fabulously failed at, and it's something that's shrouded in, oh my God, you did it. I played softball in college.
Yeah.
And I played softball on the history of, I didn't start playing until high school, and I was only on varsity for 1 year. So people are like, oh my God. And I got a scholarship for college. Awesome. I ended up playing D2. So that's where everybody's like, oh, it's amazing. I feel like for 5 years, I just spent time fucking up, and I was good at fucking up enough to be decent with everybody else. I feel like it was my fabulous failure, right? It's shrouded in all this amazingness. I can say I'm a D2 ball player, but every time I think about it, I was like, I don't feel like I was that good at it. I was good at certain things that afforded me to be on the field. Like, I could catch anything, but like, I fabulously failed. I was a horrible batter, but kind of like you were saying earlier, I made it work. Like, if I was gonna go down swinging, I was gonna get somebody else home.
I think we get in our own heads so much.
Yeah, of course.
If we get in our own heads, the things that you know how to do, and then you get there and it's like, how do I not know how to do this?
Right.
But you have to remind yourself, like you just said, you're supposed to be here. You did what you needed to do to get to where you are. So, yeah.
Okay. I'm interested to know how you feel about that, of like the fabulous failure thing. Cause I always think of it and I'm like, yeah, I did that though. Cause you kind of make a way out of no way sometimes and then just make it work. You're like, whatever. Yeah. And I always talk about having the audacity of a white male millennial and then swagging it out. Cause they be walking in. I'm like, dude, you
head held high.
Yes. Man, I got this paper right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a paper printing company. You're like, but there's paper already. So it's like,
that don't stop them from making this company.
Nada.
No.
So sometimes I love that you talk about the personas, because when we were originally chatting about this, you were like, well, who do you want to interview? Like, which one of me? And I'm like, all of them. Like, bring everything, who you are, to the table. And as I thought about it after we were texting, I was like, I guess that's me too, because I talk about my media personality is LaGina Rae. And then I have Ray, who's very much my daddy's daughter. Yeah. Like my mom called me Ray one time when my dad was, I was like, do not call me. That is my father's name for me.
Only he can call me that. Yeah.
And then Red, That's
Mhm.
like like I just ready to fight all the
Yeah.
time, angry. And then there's LaGina, professional, and then Gina, if you knew me in college.
Yeah.
That's what everybody called me and all that stuff. And all of them come with their own nuances.
You know what really helped me out with determining who I really am?
Yeah.
I took a personality test. Pastor Anita introduced me to a personality test called the Enneagram.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm a number 8 on the Enneagram, which I never told anybody that. We did a
Interesting.
what was it, a fast or something like that, and challenged everyone to do it. And anyway, so I did mine. Never told everybody. Want to know what was your score, and I never mentioned about
Yeah.
mentioning it now. But learning who I am, even just based on just the numbers and all of that kind of stuff,
It's
it does
helpful.
help you not wonder, why am I like this? Or
Yeah.
why do I do this way? Or what does this even mean? This kind of like brings it home
It does.
for you. And so I learned, even with me being an 8, I am a challenger. I am very forward, very upfront, very some might consider aggressive of sort, but
You're
I
direct and
am
accurate.
very direct. So anyway, but taking that test kind of helped me take all these different variations of myself and like bring it home. So I would encourage anybody that is interested in doing that to also consider taking the Enneagram.
Yeah. So my mom, when she was in the Air Force, she was a base counselor. Well, actually, first she was this badass cop that secured top secret weapons for a
Actually pretty
while.
dope.
Yeah. While pregnant with my sister in the mud, like a whole thing. I'm like, when you look at Mama Harris, when you meet her, it's just like you could feel the G status in her.
For
You're
sure.
like, I don't know what it is, but this woman that you are now, like this, something more.
Yeah.
But so she did a lot of those. And then my sister did a lot of personality tests and made me sit down one day and do one in her office when she had moved into her new office building. And now I incorporate that into my team. So actually, even when my interns come on, we do the ideogram test as a team.
Yeah.
Because there's studies also right now that show that you need to do personality tests. I think for a while it was like every year. Now it's like 6 months because we change so much because the level of information that's coming to us that challenges our thought processes is so much faster now. So we do the ideogram test, and then everybody, like, if comfortable, reads it out loud, and then everybody gives feedback like, oh, that's why you do that like that, or that's why you want to do it 10 times because of the perfectionism in you. And it helps a team like understand each other in a way of like, she don't have an attitude.
Yeah.
That is her thinking.
And I've actually taken it different types and still came out with the same
thing.
Yeah. So it's kind of, and it gives you the good and the bad. It tells you, if you're like this, not if, but with these, this type of attitude, this is what you can do to, it's actually pretty interesting. But anyway.
It makes you dive deep for sure. There's another one, I forget, it's called like the animal test or something.
Oh.
And I took it, and it's very interesting. All the ones I take, similar to you, 2 things are always tied, like really close together. Because on the ideogram, I can't remember my number, but both the numbers are like within 4 of each other.
Got you.
And that can be super challenging when taking them.
Yeah.
But then it makes me understand dynamically. I'm a Cancer, by the way. So it's the crab. Like, I'm very introverted, but if I'm out, I'm out. And it almost feels like, even in my body right now, that it's 2 totally different humans.
Got you.
Yeah. So that can be very interesting. Okay, so your first love was your father.
Yes.
Then you get married and all these things. And it's my favorite question to ask on the podcast always. But would you rather be crazy rich? And when I'm talking about crazy rich, however you define it, but when I think of it, I'm like Oprah Riri money. and not rich as in like my heart feels rich, but I'm talking cash money.
Yeah.
Or would you rather be deeply, deeply in love?
I'd rather be deeply in love.
Why?
I think when you're in love, a certain level of inspiration comes from what you can create with the person that you're in love with. And then inspiration is from God.
Mm.
And so when you can create things from God, the things you need happen. There's no lack in the kingdom. So I would prefer to be deeply in love. Money, what else I need, who else I need, what idea needs to happen. will automatically come because I'm in such a space of receiving and giving and an atmosphere where my mind, certain things just is going to come to you. So I would rather be deeply in love.
I love that.
Yeah.
Never had that perspective on it. I waver. Some days I'm like, I need all the money so I can go change the world. I always talk about being, I want all the power and all the money so that I can disseminate it to good people doing good work.
And that sounds good.
It sounds good.
And I'll just leave it at that.
Why? When you say it sounds good,
sounds good because you don't know what the other person has in mind. Not that I don't know if you need to worry about that or not, but it's just all of the extra things come into play. Even when dealing with money, like for yourself, where is your mind with this money? What is the true intent of how it is and what you're going to do with it? Just you got to be in a good place in your spirit.
And then arguably, I guess we could say the same thing about love, or I could, right? Because it's like, if your intention to love is X, the people you love, you cannot control that.
You can't.
Yeah.
So would I rather be deeply in love? Yes, I would rather be deeply in love. I also would want the person that I'm with to be deeply in love with me too. I want us to be deeply in love.
With each other. Okay.
Yeah.
I see you. What, do you do dating apps? Do you do any of that kind of...
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I did all those things. Have you ever done them?
Never.
Okay.
No shame to anyone that has. I just can't do it.
It's
I
a lie.
don't know. I just don't want my picture up here. I just don't. I'm not open to that yet.
Yeah. Look, don't say yet. Just don't be.
Not even yet. Yet is not. I want to meet someone. I don't even know how. I can't even explain that yet. But however, the app is just not.
It ain't it.
I just don't think God has called me to be on there yet.
God called me to be entertained on those apps because I'm telling you, like it's that's what I have for it. It's so interesting, and the amount of people that are on there, and then
a lot of people are
on there
and finding true love.
I have my cousin, Nicole, found her husband.
I don't know Nicole, but all right.
Yeah, Nicole found her husband on a dating app, and I have met so many people that have, and they're still married. I just don't think that that's my journey.
I think Facebook is an app, isn't it?
What?
Facebook is an app, and people find each other on there. It has a dating app
it
too.
Does. Do they still have it running?
I don't know.
Okay.
But what I mean is, it is also the app where people meet each other and all the things. I don't know. I just know. Not right.
You're all like,
yeah.
It's kind of like when you tell your grandparents, like, all the apps are on the TV now. You don't need cable. They're like, I don't know. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I need my cable for my news and the price is right. So you talk about media and how much you loved it to the point where, homelessness and being not housed look different for everybody.
Yeah.
And I like that you say that because sometimes I think that the basic thing that's presented to people is how we look at it. The person on the corner that's asking for money, or you see maybe, especially here in Houston, where our unhoused population is rampant and mental health plays into it. But you were fully in your sound mind.
Straight up.
And you knew what the hell you were going to do.
Absolutely.
So I want to talk more about that journey because it's phenomenal. And I think that sometimes when people see Amanda Sapp in the picture, or they see the Oprah, and they just think that you saw how I did that, but they just assume, oh, she got it, and it went from A to Z,
and I got more to get.
Right.
However, at that particular time, the radio station where I am was the lighthouse for me. I was an assistant to someone who had a show there. And, even then, I remember catching the bus to get to them to be an assistant, whatever. Didn't even think twice about really what that place was. I just was doing what I needed to do. Never even explored, didn't open my mind. I literally go straight to that room and then exit, didn't even ask questions, really. But, something happened where when one of the shows I was on at another station, their station was closing, and I sent an email. I remembered that person that was managing sent me an email for something anyway. So I sent them an email back and was like, hey, I got this show. You give me this wine before I do the thing.
You need to drink more.
Yeah,
That's
so
what?
I'm good. I said, hey, I got this show. I'd love to come on. I'm doing this, this, and this. And they're like, come on. So when I got there, I was doing the drive time in the evening. I had my co-host, and we had
What was
the
that
DJ.
show? What was that? What
It was self-titled.
Okay, what was the theme of it or underlying?
We just bringing everybody. I'm talking about anybody that said they wanted to be on. And I say anybody, but I was working with a lot of different publicists in the city. So you kind of have to trust that they're bringing people who are of a certain, what's the word I want to use? That they've done the guesswork on who's coming on, right? So I worked with a lot of people in the city because I was also doing concerts and festivals. So I used to do the entertainment space like that.
And this is why you were unhoused.
Oh yeah. Some of it, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I was traveling with some guys. I was there managing talent. It's funny. How can you manage somebody? You're not even managing your life. You think that's how I was thinking about it, but it didn't matter. Like, I'm trying to do this. Yeah. We'll figure me out later. And so anyway, so I get to the station. We do our shows, and it's great. I have to give credit to people who, even though we're not working together today, all of these things lead up to where you are now. So it's not always a bad thing. Mm-hmm. It might have been bad in the moment, but that had to happen for me to get to this today. So anyway, so we started doing the show. I'm having like 8 or 9 guests an hour. I don't even know how we was doing it. People come back, I need more than 5 minutes to be on your show, whatever. All of the things. So we do that, and eventually it got to where they could give me a small stipend. And then it got to where we want to put you on the morning show. And then it got to, we want to do a relaunch. I ended up helping do the relaunch. We did it at this place up the street here downtown. And then that was major. And then they put me on a billboard out of a building. And then they said, we need a radio station manager. And I'm like, I can do it.
Like, I got this.
Sure. Type this, right? Do this. And okay, cool. And then they said, we need a general manager. And then I ended up managing just my damn self. There was nobody in there but me. Because you lose people as things happen. So ended up losing people, gaining more, learning experience. And I started teaching myself. So I didn't know what do I truly have? I believe in where I am, and I believe in what I have, but I needed to understand it.
Yeah.
So I decided to start going to conferences. I started going to different, programs to cater to my area of career. Mm-hmm. Ended up going to the National Association of Broadcasters. When the first year I became GM, and then the next year they asked me to be a speaker.
What years were these?
The first year was 2 years ago. Uh-huh. I'm sorry, last year, and then this year I was a speaker. So this is all new. So 2020, what are we in? 23?
Yeah.
So 2022 was my first year at NAB, which is amazing. It's a huge conference. Anybody that owns a station, anybody that does any technology focused.
I'm going with you next year, by the way.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So
It really is. You learn a lot.
Yeah.
And then there aren't very many low power radio station GMs or managers there. But I was one of few.
Yeah.
And because I wanted to go where the top people, they do what I do, mm-hmm. the best way they do it. I want to go there. So I did. Learn, ask questions. That's another thing people don't think about. When you really want to know something, people do want to tell you. You just have to ask. So did that. Next year, which was this year, they said, hey, we'd like you to come be a part of this group. That is about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and we'd love for you to be a speaker. I'm like, little old me, whatever. And so I do it. It was amazing.
What'd you speak about, like, in particular?
I had some interns
Mhm.
there, so it was like a couple of days of things. So I mentored some interns, and then the day that I needed to speak, I led a networking segment.
Mhm.
And then on a panel discussion, we talked about, persevering in the industry and, what you can do as media outlets and just different things like that. So it was just really good experience for me. That's one of the things about me is I want to keep creating and being a part of experiences. I think life is so much more valuable when you're immersed in the opportunities that you take, or else why take them? And so I think that there's so much more that you can get for yourself and for the people around you when you really just focus on where you are in that moment. And then everything else will grow from there.
Mhm.
I was watching Comedians in Cars with Jerry Seinfeld, and his face is in my brain. I see him, Eddie Murphy. And he said one of the reasons people aren't great is because they don't focus on one thing.
Mm.
And that stuck with me. As a personality, or initially starting off as a personality, I was like, I want to be, the next Oprah, all of the things. But then as I evolved in my career, I became general manager of this radio station, this community radio station at that, which is a very niche market, niche, space, career path, or whatever. And so I had to decide, how am I going to take what I do as a personality, sprinkle this into this community radio, and bring it from where it was to where I can take it and add people and, just really be creative. So right now, my mindset about who I am in my career is expansion.
Mm.
I want to first live my most expansive life, and I want to pour that into where I am with the people that I encounter with this community radio station that I'm the general manager of. This is a gift. This is a gift. And I'm so excited to be a part of that. I can't believe I'm crying on your platform. It's a gift.
Yeah. Well, it's
I'm
powerful.
so grateful.
And, I'm grateful because I think that the power of what you're doing, and we could do the things like, oh, you're a woman, you're Black, but when it just comes down to the simplicity of good humans
Sure.
getting good shit to do good things for other people.
I just think about my journey to get to today and what I did. I'm talking about sleeping in the damn car, girl, to go ask somebody how they doing today.
Yeah. Where were you showering and stuff?
First it was the studio, and then, it was somebody's house if it was, whatever. Just like pillar to post.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I look at these young people or older people or whoever you are that really want to do this. If you really want to do this, then there's a way to. It's not impossible. But to do it with quality and dignity, and to do it in a way, for me, when I bring somebody on my platform, I truly want to know who this person is.
You really do.
Like I'm so involved with their being. First of all, you got dressed this morning, you put your makeup on, you drove in traffic, whatever it is. I respect that. Because if you took all of that effort to be a part of what I know took me to create this, I appreciate you. And I want to give you all of me, 100% of me, and what it is that me and my team are putting together for us to put this quality workout, until it's even better. So it's more quality. And I just am grateful that I can even sit here today and share this with you because it took a lot of humility. My mom, you didn't have to be homeless. You could have just came home. I could have done that.
Yeah.
My family has money.
Yeah.
No one's without.
Right.
I chose this lifestyle on my own because I wanted to prove to myself that I could do it. Then once I proved to myself that I could do it, it's how do I share with others that they can do it to whatever it is. It was a lot to deal with. I remember somebody standing above in the car. I'm sleeping at Walmart. Trying to get some shut eye or something. Because I got to be somewhere at 3:00. Whatever. And he was just looking over me. And the man, I guess the security man from the Walmart, hey, get away from there. And I look up, shit, somebody's staring at my window. I had a crack in my window, I don't know what this man about to do to me, I don't know. And the thing is, like I say, from all of that experience just makes me want to live better.
Yeah.
Save better, make better relationships, cultivate the ones that I have, treat people that I encounter as someone that I want to date. And I say that because when you want to date somebody, your best self shows up. I'm talking about you.
You be like, hello.
Your best self. All of that.
All of it.
So I treat the people that I encounter this way because I want to build with you. I want to love with you.
Yeah.
I want to grow with you. I want us to, because again, God is in inspiration and love inspires.
Yeah.
We can't help but to grow.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful for the journey. I'm grateful for the opportunity to know what the hell I won't do again. I'm grateful for knowing what I will stand for and what I won't. And I'll share too, when you have a vision for yourself, or even if you're trying to figure it out, don't let anything or anyone come between what that looks like for you. I know people come to you with ideas and you should do this or that, and you can hear them out. But if it's not in the alignment or direction that you want to go, do not do that.
Just say no.
Say no. Learn to just stick with what your gut is saying you should be doing.
Yeah.
And you'll grow and you'll do more. Stand firm on your vision.
Yeah. It goes back to that thing you say about the one thing, right? And it looks different for everybody, like as defined. Because people are like, you're doing a lot, right? And for me, I'm doing one thing.
Yeah.
I am a subservient person that believes in serving, that believes in amplifying people. Now, it may slice different for several different people, but how do I get to amplify people and make sure that their journey and their story is what they want it to be?
And I share this because, I want my kids to see too, a lot of this I did for them too.
Yeah.
Not that they have to, I want them to, let me say that differently. My mind was always thinking about them as I was doing this, as I figured out, is this thing going to make me this kind of money? Or is this going to help me advance in this way? I remember going back to them and be like, because my parents helped me raise them after the divorce. And I'd be like, I'm going to do this. But when I come back, we're going to have this type of house.
Yeah.
Or this type of car. Or this type of something. And I did. So me always thinking about the jobs and the gigs. I was gigging, doing the gigs, because that would sustain me. At some point, I did get a place. I did get I have really good people around me who would help me, like, hey, call this person or share this, or there's an apartment, there's whatever. So I did get to what I needed. But I would always tell my kids, I could just bring them back home immediately, but I'd say, I'm going to do this and we'll have this. And I did. So everything I would share with them of what we'll have the next time, that was my goal. And I would have that. And then they could come home. And then they did. And so I would do the things. Then we all living together. And it's just, my family, my children was what helped me survive.
Yeah.
And they helped me keep going, because it was without them, it was because of them that I could say, I'm going to keep pushing forward. It became less about me and more about I have to be, do, look, share so that they can have, less of me and more of them and more for them. Then it was about my spirituality. Then less of me so that God could put into me, because it got to where I cannot do this alone. So I needed to lean on my spirituality to help me with dealing with not having my kids. You have mommy guilt and all of the things. And so I had to ask God to pour into me so that I could truly be who I need to be on this stage, on this microphone, on these interviews, so that when my kids hear me, when they learn about me from others, when people say, oh, that's your mama, she did this, this, and that, that is coming from a pure place, that God spoke through me so that I could share with what I'm doing or listen to who I'm talking to, and that thing at the moment is of value. So it goes beyond me. It goes beyond anything I could imagine. And that's my legacy. So, would I want to be deeply in love? Absolutely. And I feel like that is where my spiritual space is growing. And then I'm learning more about myself, and, there's so much beauty out here that we don't even see, because a lot of people on their phones all day. And I'm not trying to be that old, whatever.
No,
but
the truth is the truth when it comes to
we're on
it.
our phones all day, and then I look up and I tell my kids, y'all look up. Look at this building. Look at the sky today. I'm grateful every single day I wake up, because I see what God has created. And I'm a believer, in case no one has heard this part yet. What He has created, there is no lack in the kingdom. Whatever you want, need, feel, desire is right in front of you. You have everything you need with where you are. Period.
All right. Deeply in love for the win.
I'm open and willing to receive and to give love.
Yeah. And the way you describe love is so much more beyond a physical relationship and a partnership. It sounds like the deeply in love even comes from just of self and your spiritual journey.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I do a lot of reflection. I've done a lot of reflection. Still doing. And I don't mean to be rude. I'm just letting people know that I am on the way.
You're on the way, yeah.
And I apologize, but that is just some of the things that I
get to do. So when you're thinking about, because you say the Amanda Sapp,
sure,
and then there's Amanda Sapp.
Yeah.
So what do you really like about Amanda Sapp?
I love the fact that I can reflect and deal with it. Because before I have been like, oh, I don't want to think about that, But now I can say I needed to think about that. So I can give myself a different perspective and really think about how I should respond to things. So I like about myself more that I can reflect and give myself grace, because we be so hard on ourselves. And I like that I'm that way today. Yeah. And everything wasn't my fault, and everything wasn't other people's fault. So, and there is no fault. It's just really more of the things happen the way they were supposed to at the moment, and it's okay. Yeah.
So what's the thing that either you've identified that you're working on, or something somebody else really likes in you, or people are always saying they like it, and you're like, and you're learning to love it or like it or make that thing grow?
I'm always working on being better organized. Like Google Docs is my friend.
Hell yeah.
And just being more detailed, not organized, detailed, having more details than you need. Some people say I need to lighten up on the details. I give too much. However, I feel like you need as much as you could possibly give to somebody so they can understand what it is you're saying or doing or whatever. They always say they like the fact that I give a lot of details. So sometimes it's too much. I feel like I don't know. That's one of the areas I get the most out of that. People say you give a lot of details. I don't know.
So season 4,
Yeah.
the dynamics of women. And when you think of that, where do you think the dynamics of women are right now? And where do you fall into that?
I think women are on this, we can do anything mentality. Of course, we can run for president. We can win. We can win. I feel like women have always been at the forefront of making things happen, even in church, even in slavery. And it's always gone back to where women have had to lead us forward.
Mm-hmm.
Men do too, but women, Black women, for sure, that I could speak of, and a Black woman,
Right.
have really just said, I'm going to hold your hand. We're going to get through this together. I'm going to take care of your child too, or take care of you best way I can. They've always been so supportive of the next person, of mankind.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think even we've always been that way. We'll continue to be that way. And I think women are the future. I think women are, leading way in media, in entertainment, in technology. I'm proud to be a woman. I'm proud to be a Black woman. I'm proud to be who I am today. And I'm proud of who I'm going to be the next 5, 10 years, 20 years. Who I'm going to be after I leave this earth.
Mm-hmm.
I'm proud of that person. I'm grateful, actually. Yeah.
Well, I'm grateful for you, period. And I'm excited that we're going to regenerate our friendship from other lifetimes right now.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. That was an episode of the LaRae Infinity Let's Talk podcast, season 4, the dynamics of women. And y'all know how this goes. Thank you for listening. Shout out to all my listeners in like Mexico and the islands. And I know we have some Canadians that listen to, and of course, my people up in the Midwest. Shout out to Chicago, especially because I know y'all be up there because I get y'all in my comments all the time. And you know how this goes is you are moving through the world as you figure out who you are going to be and how you are going to be that dynamic person yourself. Be kind to yourself. Take some time to be reflective, and then take that reflectiveness and turn it outward and help somebody else out. Share your story a little bit more because there's so many people that could use your experiences and forward their own things that they're moving around and doing in the world. And as always, tell your story, be your own brand, live your truth, and stand in your moment.
All right, y'all. My name is Amanda Sapp. I am never going to tell you my age. I hope you guys got inspired from this episode. I hope that it is relatable to you. Mm-hmm. And I hope that you understand the value of the journey. I did not. I wanted it right now. Do you hear me? Like, fix this today. Why can't we? But it wasn't time. Anyway. And that you learn to reflect. You just listen to my story as I live my truth and stand in my moment on the LaRae Infinity Let's Talk podcast, season 4.
The dynamics of women. Till next time, y'all. One love. Peace.